No more checks. Using WIC is easier than ever. WIC is a free nutrition program that helps working families stretch their food budget and make healthy choices. WIC helps families learn to shop for nutritious foods and provides recipes for healthy meals. There's even online nutrition education and an app to make shopping easier. WIC, good food, and a whole lot more. Call or visit us online to find out if you qualify.
Enjoy good food?
3.
How about friendly competitions? Well, Ann and Helida are bringing us both. Stay tuned for this Souperior Soup-Off. The Good Food Project is next.
Something more than bread. A nice big steak and fries to go. Listen to what I said. I need something more than soup to keep me satisfied. Give me food. That's what
Hi everyone, I am Helida Johnson. I am the Community Coordinator at the WIC Framingham Waltham program.
And I'm Ann Tierney. I'm the Senior Nutritionist at the Framingham Waltham program.
What are we doing today, Ann?
So today we're having a soup-off.
I'm so excited about it.
So we all know that my soup tastes a lot better.
Yeah, she wishes.
So we decided to make them both and let everyone here decide whose soup is better.
Mine is better, obviously.
We'll see.
So what is your soup?
So I am making a vegetable and sausage soup.
Okay, and I am making a lentil chicken soup. Let's see who is gonna win this contest.
All right, let's get started.
All right, so I'll start with mine.
Okay.
So what we need is 4 cups of water. I already have it here, so if you can start that. And
You already measured it?
yep, it's already measured.
All right, so I'm pouring in 4 cups of
Yep.
water.
And then we're gonna saute some vegetables.
Ooh, nice.
And then we're going to add 2 cups of lentil,
Oh, nice. What
Yeah.
kind of lentil?
red lentil. So,
Give
and
some-
they're already washed. So it's always nice to wash them before you use them. So, okay, and then we're going to saute some vegetables.
Should I stir it?
Yeah, stir a little bit. And usually people like to, I think you like to season your stuff at the end, right? I always like to season my recipes when they're cooking. I don't know why. I think it's a Brazilian thing. So I will add a little bit of salt and pepper. Actually, you were gonna add it.
Pinch of each?
Yeah, pinch of each. Just to give a little taste. And then I am going to use 4 stalks of celery. And the recipe usually asks for 2 large carrots, but I like to buy these small, tiny carrots because they're easy to chop. Like, when I chop them, they're exactly the size that I want them. So what I do, I buy like several of these small ones. And so it's a pretty quick recipe because what I do usually, I used leftover chicken. Or you can, make chicken breasts to use on the recipe, but usually what I do, I use my leftover chicken.
So if you have like a rotisserie, it's
yeah,
good for leftovers.
yeah. Sometimes we have chicken breast left, so and it's a quick
Quick meal.
delicious
We'll see.
recipe. So okay, so what is easier for you to do? Let's do the carrots.
Okay.
So let's see. Let's use all these carrots.
Do you want me to peel them first?
Yeah. So if you can peel them.
Do you have a
There's
peeler?
Yep. And I will chop the celery. So my soup, and I learned from Catherine, our nutritionist.
Oh, nice.
So we went to run a cooking class in Natick one day, and I was her assistant, and she had this recipe. And I helped her, and it was a huge success, and I loved it, loved it. I loved the taste of curry and lemon, so she gave me the recipe. We made the recipe at this event, and everybody loved it. So my husband is not a soup guy. He really doesn't like soup. But I made it at home and he loved it. So we will chop all the vegetables.
And you're gonna saute them?
Yes. I know it's different, but I add the vegetables first. I don't turn the oven yet until I have everything in the pan.
Oh, usually I warm the pan with
Yep.
olive oil and
I
then
know.
put them all in.
Yep. Nope. That's my way. So this is my recipe. So I'm going to try to remember how to cut an onion and using my, what do you call my bear claw? Okay. So using safety skills that I have learned with Ann, although I don't cut my onions the way she does. I do everything different than you do. So Ann, oh, you peeled
The carrots, yep.
the carrots.
What do you want me to do next?
So can you cut them about this big? So we'll add onions. So we already have some celery, some carrots, onions, and I will add some garlic.
I'm gonna squish some garlic.
Yes, please. That would be great. So
We have 2 cloves of
2
garlic.
cloves of garlic. Yep. I mean, I always use as much as I can. So let's start with 2 and I'll see. And when you cook with carrots, do you peel them?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It depends on what the carrot looks like on the outside. If it's a nice clean carrot and I've scrubbed it down, I may not bother peeling it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was wondering if you could just wash it. Yeah, some people, I mean, I have seen people just washing them, but I would rather just to, either peel them or scrape them the way I do. So let me add a little bit more onions. Okay, so now I'm gonna add some olive oil. Okay. So usually I have between 2 and 4 spoons. So I'm gonna add 2. Can you turn the oven on for me, please? So you see how different this is, right? You said you always put the olive oil before and you saute. I put everything in and then I add the olive oil. That's how I do it. And it doesn't make any difference. It won't make any difference in the recipe. So now we're just gonna stir. And again, I will add some seasoning while it's cooking.
What seasonings are you gonna add?
So I will add a little bit of salt here and pepper, and also I am going to use this curry and cumin. Is that cumin?
Cumin, yeah.
We're just gonna saute the vegetables, and do you mind chopping the cilantro, please?
Absolutely.
All right. So I'm going to add a little bit more of salt and pepper here.
Do you have any specific size you want the cilantro?
Very, very small.
So again, when you're bunching them together, you really need to watch for your fingers because this is something that your fingers could be very close to the edge with.
Yeah. And we're gonna turn this off for now until the vegetables are ready to go in. So I already have my chicken shredded, like, my leftover chicken. So when the vegetables are ready, I will just add the chicken just to get it warm a little bit.
Do you want some of the cilantro now?
No. So the cilantro will be the last one, and we need, I need 1.5 cups of the cilantro, so don't mind. So while my vegetables are cooking, I am going to add 4 cups of vegetable stock into the the lentils. So.
And that box conveniently has 4 cups of vegetables.
I know, it's so good. I mean, when I went to buy the lentil today, I was looking for 2 cups, and it's so good that you can actually buy the right amount that you need. So we add the vegetable stock to the lentil, and we'll let it simmer a little bit. So I'm going to add the chicken to the vegetables because the onions are almost translucent.
I like it when the onions are translucent.
Yep. So I'm going to add the chicken. Mix them. All right, so the lentil is, let me try it a little bit because the vegetables are almost cooked, so you want the lentil to be still a little bit hard before you put the vegetables, so because you want to let the vegetables simmer. So we're gonna wait for the lentil to boil a little bit and the vegetables to be ready, and we'll be right back.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. This is a serious problem, but one we can solve. Visit feedingamerica.org to help. Together we can solve hunger. Together we're feeding America.
Welcome back. The vegetables are ready to go.
And the cilantro is cut.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
All right, so before I put the vegetables in the lentil, I am going to add half teaspoon of the curry and half teaspoon of the cumin. Great. All right, thank you.
You're very welcome.
And then we are going to add the vegetables and the chicken. So let's see. Careful. So I add, a little by little because I don't want to really overpower the lentils. So I add a little bit to see how much I will need. I think we can add the whole pot, so. All right. And then we're going to stir. And I am going to add a little bit more water because it seems like, there's a lot of vegetables and chicken. So, all right, and so we are going just to let it boil for about 10 minutes until the vegetables are soft. And then we will add the cilantro and the trick, lemon and limes. So we'll be right back.
Así es como se ve la presión alta. Ayude a prevenir un derrame cerebral. Hable con su médico para crear un plan de prevención que funcione para usted. Visite bajesupresión.org.
Welcome back. So, and my soup is ready. Okay. So the last ingredient, the last 2 ingredients that I have to add is lime and lemon juice. Okay. So I am going to cut them, and do you mind just squeezing them for me, please? So let's start with 1 of each, and I'll taste it. I'll get the little seeds out of this. All right, so that. And then I will add some cilantro. So I'm going to stir a little bit, and I'm going to get just a little try to see if we need more lemon or lime. No, it's perfect. So the last ingredient that I'm going to add is the cilantro. So I'm going to add a cup of chopped cilantro, and I will stir. Oh my gosh, doesn't look amazing.
It does look good.
And it tastes delicious. So yeah, so my soup is ready. So right. Your turn.
My turn.
We'll see you in a minute.
40% of food in America is never eaten.
Welcome back. So we made your soup.
Yeah.
Now it's
Delicious
time to make the good soup.
Yeah. We'll see about that.
So I'm going to start with turning on my pot.
Okay, yeah.
It's always good to start with a hot pot for a couple
Not
reasons.
really.
So, a couple
Not really.
reasons. Okay, and I'm going to start. I bought cooking wine for this, but sometimes at home I just use whatever's open.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to do about a cup right on the bottom.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a lot, just enough to cover the bottom of your pan and to
Okay.
give it a little bit of flavor. Okay, I'm going to turn this up on high. Especially if this is a recipe that cooks for a long time, so it gives the alcohol a chance to burn out.
Okay. And where is this recipe from again?
I made this recipe.
Oh, you did?
I did. This recipe is made from scratch.
Wow.
Yes.
You're so talented.
So my recipe came because one stormy day, when I had a snow day, I pretty much had zucchini, sausage, and onion in my fridge, and that was it.
So you just decided to choose whatever you had.
I did, and from then it's morphed, so I've added celery, and I've added a couple more types of zucchini. But yeah,
Well, I think mine is more interesting. So
my story is a little more interesting.
Wow.
Okay.
Catherine made mine. So
I really use whatever tomatoes I have. Today I just happen to use whole and crushed.
Oh, okay.
So I'm making half the recipe here. Typically I make this in a 6-quart crock pot. I've chosen to just make half the recipe. So I'm going to use half of a can of whole tomatoes.
Okay.
Put it right in. And this is the large can. So this is the 28-ounce can. And I'm going to use an entire can of crushed tomatoes. Again, if I had just whole tomatoes in my house, I'd use 2 cans of whole. I do like to get a little bit of texture in there. So I'd like to get at least a whole or a dice. Whole tomatoes and crushed tomatoes, you can go with your WIC benefits. Okay. Put that aside. I'll give that a little stir, and I have it on high just to get, some of the alcohol out. Okay. With this soup, it's pretty unique. You can use whatever vegetables you want. I chose the vegetables here. I make this in the summer, ironically, because this is when you can get a lot of zucchini.
Oh, yeah, that's true. You can use your farmer's market coupon.
Absolutely.
Right?
I buy a lot of the zucchini at farmer's market and the summer squash, and then I just put it in baggies and freeze it.
Nice.
Okay. So I typically use 1 small zucchini, or I typically use for my 6-quart crock pot, 2 small zucchinis and 1 medium size summer squash.
But you're
So
making half.
I'm making half, so I cut it in half.
Okay.
So I'm going to use my bear claw. I'm just going to cut off the end. And it depends on how chunky you like your soup.
Yeah.
I like my soup to have texture. So what I do is I cut it right down the middle. Right down the middle again. And right down the middle again. Line it up, put on my bear claw, and just chop through. Fun part about this soup is it takes about 10 minutes to prep.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I like things that you can make, You come home
Yep.
tired from work and you just grab whatever is in your fridge and
Yeah.
that's an easy recipe.
So with this recipe, it's even easier because I chop it up before I go to work,
Oh, yeah, you can leave
turn on my
everything
crock pot, and walk away.
okay.
I do the same thing with the summer squash. I like my vegetables to be even, so sometimes I'll put 3 cuts right into the summer squash, especially down the larger end of it. Okay.
Nice.
Line it up, chop through. Use my bear claw. Because I'm working quickly with a knife, I just want to make sure my hand is safe.
Okay.
Toss it in.
I learned that. What do you have here?
Good question.
What is that?
In my soup, we have sausage. You can use a pork sausage if you want a little bit more flavor. You can use chicken sausage, turkey sausage. I like to use a hot sausage, and I like to use turkey sausage.
Oh, okay.
I like to boil it first because I like to taste it. So right now I'm boiling 2.5 sausages. That's half the recipe because I usually put it in 5.
Okay.
In water. I'm going to add that to my recipe in a little bit.
And this is pork sausage, right?
This is turkey sausage.
Oh, turkey sausage.
Yes.
Okay.
So it depends on who you're feeding. If I was going to make it for my 4-year-old daughter, I might use a sweet sausage.
Yeah, definitely.
So I use baby carrots, and there are 2 things you can do. You can take the carrots and toss them in.
Or you can...
If I have time, I'll cut the carrots in half, line them up, and just put 1 cut right through the middle of the carrots.
So why baby carrots, though? Could you?
It
could you use
because
the carrot?
sometimes I just pick up the carrots.
Oh, so that's yeah. So
and toss them in.
yeah, so to make it easier and quicker. Right?
Exactly, because the carrot's going to become soft in the cooking process.
Oh, okay.
Then you don't have to cut them all the way through.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like chunky vegetables in my food, so I would cut them.
Yeah, and you could also use the carrots you have and just slice them the same way you did in your soup.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to use the whole celery stalk. I don't like to waste.
Oh, I didn't know you can use the.
Yeah, it gives a little extra
Really?
celery flavor.
Oh.
So I'm
I
just going
always
to
clean them out like.
chop right down it, including the leaves. Swipe it right in.
Can I stir it?
Absolutely.
Can I have a spoon? It does smell good.
It does, doesn't it?
Not as good as mine, but it does.
You're confused.
What about seasoning? What do you use for seasoning?
It really depends on what I have in the house. If I don't have any fresh herbs, I'm going to use an Italian seasoning.
Oh, okay. Is this okay?
Yep, that's fine. The sausage will boil for 10 minutes to make sure it's cooked through.
Oh, okay.
That's actually already cooked, so you can turn it off.
All right.
So if I have any fresh herbs, I'll use that. Fresh basil, fresh parsley.
Oh, okay.
If I don't have any, I'll just use Italian seasoning.
Oh, okay.
So this soup can kind of morph depending on what you have in the house.
Yeah, that's what I love about soup.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
You can use whatever you have.
Okay. Next, I'm going to add 1 large onion. Fun part about soup, you don't have to really cut it into small pieces.
Oh, so you can just
Yeah.
add the like big chunks.
Yeah. So I'm going to cut the onion. Going to go right down the middle. Turn it on its side. 3 cuts.
Oh, so you're going to use the big chunks.
Yeah, just going to toss them right in. Last, I'm going to add garlic.
So what do you call it? Is it tomato soup?
This is the Souperior Soup.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
No, really, when I tell people I'm making soup, I usually just say my garden sausage soup.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Lots of veggies and.
You may call it the Souperior Soup.
No, I won't. Definitely not. If I'm going to call a superior soup, it would be mine.
Superior.
A superior would be mine.
I'm going to use my garlic press. And again, it depends on your love of garlic.
That's interesting. So you don't have to cook the onions and the garlic before it goes into the soup,
No,
right?
because typically I cook it in a crock pot. If I'm going to cook it in
Yeah, so-
this pan, it's about 3 or 4 hours if I want the
Yeah.
textures I like.
Oh, I see.
If you like the vegetables to be a little bit more al dente, you can cook it for about 2.
Oh, okay.
When I cook it in my crock pot, I'll typically leave it for about 7 on low, so the flavors will really morph together.
Oh, I see.
And the vegetables will be somewhere between al dente and a nice soft texture. So it depends on who my audience is.
Yeah.
My husband likes to throw a little bit of cooked pasta in it at the end.
Oh.
And for my daughter, I scoop the vegetables out and put it on rice, and I drink the broth.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there are many different ways you can use this soup. So you notice it's a very thick tomato soup.
It is, yeah.
So this
It's
is-
very, very thick.
This is what we're going to do now. We're going to take the water from the sausage.
Oh, so you're gonna use that water.
Yep. So what I did was the sausages are in there. And now, if you're not into tasting it as you cook,
Yeah.
you can throw the sausages right into the crock pot.
Oh, so you don't slice them?
You do. Well, that's what I'm saying. If you just want to throw them in
yeah.
and walk
Oh,
away.
okay.
What I like to do is I like to slice them, and I want to get all the flavor out of the sausage as possible.
Yeah.
So if I slice them, I could lose some flavor on my cutting board.
True.
So what I do is I poke the sausage, so all the juice comes out. So when I put it on my cutting board, the juice is in the water. Okay.
That's such a good trick. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to add the water in a minute. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Planning a dinner party? Figure out how much food you need with the Guestimator at SaveTheFood.com.
So what I'm going to do, Helida, is I'm going to reach over you. I'm going to pull out my sausage.
All right.
Again, I've gotten the flavor out into the water because I don't want to lose it on my cutting board.
Uh-huh.
And what you can do, because you want to get as much sausage throughout the soup as you can, if you want to give it a little stir. I'm going to cut it carefully right down the middle. All right? And then I'm going to cut it in slices. And you notice the juices aren't coming onto my cutting board.
And it smells really good.
Again, this is a hot Italian turkey sausage. All right.
And you have another.
Yep, I'm going to reach over you. And I have one more half piece in there. Yep. Now, with the water, because all our flavor's in there,
Oh, yeah. So
what
what do you do?
I'm going to do,
Oh, you're
it's
just
not
gonna-
hot. I'm going to take it out, step back so I don't want it to splash. Pour it right in. Okay. So I'm getting all the flavor from the sausage right into the soup. Yep. And I'll cut my sausage. All right, so I have my sausage in, and I'm going to add my Italian seasoning. So it's really to taste. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1 tablespoon of Italian seasoning. Should we give that a stir?
Sure.
I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of black pepper.
Oh, the Italian seasoning tastes amazing. I shouldn't be really saying good things about the soup, but it does smell good.
I'm going to add 2 pinches of salt. This soup doesn't really need too much salt because you're going to get a lot of salty flavor from the sausage and from the canned tomatoes. But my Brazilian and Puerto Rican friends here today think
That's why
I need
she's
more
gonna-
salt. Okay, so I'm going to let this sit for a couple hours, and then we'll let you decide whose soup is better.
Well, guess who is going to win?
Me. We'll be right back.
See you soon.
40% of food in America never gets eaten. When we start to think differently about our food, we can get a lot more out of it.
And we're back. So it's been about 4 hours. Our soup's been simmering, and we're ready to reveal them.
Yes. Okay.
Ready?
Dun, 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 dun.
1, 2, 3.
Mine looks better.
I don't think so. All right, so you ready to try each
Yep.
other's soup?
Cheers. So let's see.
It's good.
It is good. I like yours too.
Let's call it a tie.
Yeah, well, you know, what about if we invite Shavarsh to make a decision about
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Come on,
Come on, Shvash.
So
Like
if you
cheese?
if you like more lemon, just use. Right, Shavarsh.
All right, he's starting with mine.
Yep. So that's Ann's not so good soup. No reaction. So let's see. And if you like more lime or lemon, just add a little bit more. Meanwhile, I'm gonna try her.
Turn.
For this recipe and others, you can come to one of our cooking classes on Tuesday from 4 to 5 p.m. and Fridays from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. or like us on Facebook at facebook.com/framingham.waltham.wic. We encourage you and your families to participate in one of our cooking classes. Hope to see you soon.
Something more than soup to keep me satisfied.